Full disclosure, I have a lot of reasons to be excited about JUMPGRID. Creator Ian MacLarty lent me some credibility by giving me my very first review copy with Dissembler. Since then, I've been keeping an eye on JUMPGRID, which has seemed entirely my jam. Then, as I'm preparing to relaunch my channel, I receive a key for this game out of the blue. It seems serendipitous then that I'm restarting my adventure and analysis with another creation from Ian MacLarty. Hi, I'm Richard from Notable Releases. I've already called this game notable, but now I've played it, I'm ready to break it down, and I'm going to tell you if you'd like it. Today, we're chopping it up about JUMPGRID. First, the facts. JUMPGRID is a creation by Ian MacLarty out of Melbourne. As noted, I reviewed his previous game Dissembler. I also enjoyed his first commercial entry in Bosun X, and if you check his site, he has a number of interesting experimental games as well. This latest entry came to Windows, Mac, and Linux on the 12th of February 2019 and is available on Steam, itch.io, and the Mac App Store. Naturally, all links are available in the description below. Finally, I would call this an avoid 'em up or dodge 'em up, but the node-based travel adds some spice to the mix. In JUMPGRID, you control a diamond that can move to an adjacent node in the grid as fast as you can press the key. Your movement wraps around, so if you're on the leftmost node when you press left, you'll travel to the rightmost node. Your goal is to collect the cubes on each node while avoiding obstructions. These obstacles will scroll, swing, collapse, and expand, forcing you to learn and react to the pattern. Each of the levels are short, but very challenging. The twitchy gameplay and quick reloads mixed with the electronic music and minimalist but flashy visuals lull you into a trance that could have one of two effects depending on your mood. If energetic, it will likely help you grasp the pattern subconsciously. If fatigued, it might grind your will down to the point where you're grumpy and annoyed. This dichotomy is at the heart of my experience with JUMPGRID. I enjoyed this game a lot, sometimes too much. I was so intent on defeating the challenge in front of me, it never even occurred to me that I would benefit from a break. Instead, I would keep retrying a difficult level, vaguely aware of my increasing carelessness. This, in turn, would frustrate me, ensuring a vicious cycle. The game's almost singular intent to beat the current level did not aid in my frustration. A level select could have gone a long way. The 100 levels are broken up into chapters called quadrants, and each quadrant has its own difficulty curve. A level select that might have afforded me the option to start on later quadrants when I was struggling with the end of another would have been awesome. Unfortunately, the only way to break the pattern of toiling on a single level was to try your hand at the speedrun. This mode allows you to select any quadrant, but you have to do its levels in order. I can presume a motivation for this singular intent. Even as a reviewer, I have a strong urge to withhold details of later quadrants and levels. This is because JUMPGRID managed to surprise me often. By keeping the level design and visuals fresh throughout the game, I felt like I was on a quest to see just how the designer would ratchet up the experience next. If you're up for the challenge, it's well worth it to grind through the tricky spots to see as much of the game as possible. In any good pilgrimage, you look for the journey itself to be more valuable than the destination. JUMPGRID delivers with what feels like a journey into the creator's mind, each checkpoint delving deeper into MacLarty's psyche until you've reached the id. So I'm a big fan of JUMPGRID's challenge and trippy aesthetic, but would you like it? To answer that, let's get into the anatomy of JUMPGRID. What sticks out to me most about this game is its synesthetic quality. Synesthesia is the phenomenon by which one's brain mixes up the senses, and this has been reported in such ways as seeing music as a color. While I haven't experienced this myself, there are a number of games associated with this quality. In particular, Tatsuya Mizuguchi's catalog, such as Rez and Child of Eden, aim to evoke this experience. While this is more common amongst tranquil games, I associate this quality to some challenging games as well. Super Hexagon and Space Giraffe certainly come to mind. With JUMPGRID, the flashing colors, abstract art, electronic music, and repetitive actions form an experience that induce a sort of trance on me. Another facet of JUMPGRID is what I call the rage trait. While it doesn't provoke hostility within me, I use the word rage here as a shorthand I've seen used colloquially with platformers. Rage platformers are known as modern platformer games where you will lose often. These usually require repetition and pattern memorization. Due to this nature, the gameplay loops are short and ideally the load times are non-existent. The most famous progenitors of this sort of trait are Super Meat Boy and N, but it's extended past platformers, especially in indies like Thoth and, well, Super Hexagon. One last characteristic of JUMPGRID that I'd like to call out is the minimalist aesthetic. It combines color blocking with a look that seems to be built on a sort of vector display motif a la Tempest, Metal Gear Solid VR, and yeah, Super Hexagon. To wrap this up, I'm going to give you some games like this that might let you know if this is your jam, but this isn't a generic algorithm based on tags. These are my personal choices based on my experiences. First up, of course, is Super Hexagon. JUMPGRID is much more structured in nature with 100 levels to beat, but the synesthetic experience, rage quality, and minimal art all feel right in line with the Super Hexagon vibe. Next is Thoth. Thoth went way under the radar, and it's a dual stick shooter that lines up nearly beat for beat with JUMPGRID. You'll find color blocking, a few dozen levels, and challenging gameplay that's just tough to put down. Finally, I'm going to add Just Shapes and Beats to this list. Shout out to Alex at First 5 for introducing me to this game. Just Shapes and Beats is quite a bit lower on the rage spectrum, but the art style, the electronic music, and the avoid 'em up gameplay is all on display here as well. If you like any of these, be sure to check out JUMPGRID, and of course vice versa. If JUMPGRID ends up being enjoyable for you, consider going back and looking into Super Hexagon, Thoth, and Just Shapes and Beats. As always, let us know down below if you know any other similar games. Before I sign off, I want to shout out the Notable Releases community. We have nearly 1,500 followers on Twitter now, and I love the feedback we're starting to see. People aren't afraid to voice their thoughts respectfully and let us know what we're doing well and what could use improvement. Similarly, we have about 50 people on our Discord server where we discuss indies every day and play through a new indie collectively every month in our game club. Feel free to join us on either outlet. Also, shout out to all you viewers. A few of you have been asking me about plans for this channel, and I hope you all like this new format. It's been enjoyable for me to do a deep dive in this way, and I can't wait to keep going. If you do like it, don't forget to like the video, sub to the channel, and let your friends know. That's going to do it for today's video. This has been Anatomy of JUMPGRID with your boy, signing off for Notable Releases. Peace.